Okay, hi everyone. Hello and welcome to Delhi Food Walks live Facebook session. My name is Ruzaina Haji and I am from the minority taste. So I'm a Sri Lankan food blogger, mainly speaking on Sri Lankan food, especially Sri Lankan food that has gone under the radar. I also, which predominantly means Sri Lankan food. The Sri Lankans in the world are a minority, and Sri Lankan food is I would say, in my humble opinion, is under the radar. So let me start a little bit about me. My name is Ruzaina Haji. My page name and my YouTube channel name is The Minority Taste with Ruzaina Haji. My Instagram name is The Minority Taste, Ruzaina The Minority Taste. So yeah, so first let me start by saying thank you, Anubhav, for all your great work with Delhi Food Box and promoting Indian cuisine to the world. And it's amazing to see so much of variety in such a large country, of course, and to see such amazing Indian cuisine from all areas in India. And also, there's another story where Indian food and Sri Lankan cuisine has a beautiful marriage together. So I'm going to get into that a little bit later. I have jotted down everything that I need to say in case I forget my if, what I have to say. So yeah, okay. So let me begin with a brief history. So I don't want to like bore everyone with a long story about the history and how it all began, but I just jotted down a few key notes that is important for everyone to understand how Sri Lankan cuisine has come about. Because when you say Sri Lankan cuisine, predominantly or majority compares it to Indian cuisine. In all my travels, every time I say Sri Lankan cuisine, the first question that would come up in their mind is, does it taste like Indian food? It's yes and no. I would say the main area or district that Sri Lankan cuisine really relates to in India is Kerala. So I have found out, like personally, I think food from Kerala and Sri Lankan food has a lot of similarities in terms of flavor, in terms of taste, in terms of preparation, cooking method, and everything. So let's get into all of that in my little live talk right now. Okay, okay. First, first in Sri Lanka, it was before the settlers came in. So the first settlers in Sri Lanka was from Prince Vijaya from India. He came in with his retinue of 700 crew and 700 people, along with his wife and everything, right? So before that, there were uh, like people who were living like the authentic or like the Aborigines, we would say the Aboriginal people of Sri Lanka are called Baddas. They have tribes as well. They used to have a lot of tribes, and when you look into it, there was so much of like history behind how Sri Lankan cuisine up to date, like today, the cooking techniques were very advanced even back then. So from prehistoric eras, and archaeologists has found out that the Vedas used to use preserving techniques. So they used to use a lot of bees honey to preserve their roots and meat. So predominantly they were meat eaters. They were hunters. They used to hunt for meat and they used to preserve it underground and preserve it in honey. So when the first settlers like Prince Vijaya from India came to Sri Lanka, all these techniques and all these very advanced cooking methods, like to date, people use these preserving methods. They preserve things in honey, they preserve food in honey, they preserve food underground, they preserve so preservation techniques and methods are used, and when Prince Vijay came in, these techniques and methods were already existing. And so I would say that uh, Sri Lanka was very advanced when it came to cooking techniques even back then. Then once Prince Vijay came, and then they came in with a lot of vegetarian variety into Sri Lanka. So In Sri Lanka, mainly our cuisine consists of a variety of vegetables, vegetarian curries, and meat. You wouldn't find a district in Sri Lanka where it's predominantly only vegetarians. You wouldn't find them at all because you will always find omnivores. Like Sri Lankans are generally omnivores. We either eat plant-based diet along with meat or fish. There is no cuisine which is only vegetarian apart from our Sri Lankan Tamil community. They do have, and also Sri Lankan Buddhist community. There, it's a, but mainly, mostly Sri Lankans in general are omnivores. We eat plant-based diet along with meat or fish. So that is the story of the first settlers. So in my personal opinion, I think that is where they met, the two collided, the meat eaters from the original meat eaters, the hunters and the gatherers from Sri Lanka, and the vegetarian community that came as the first settlers from India, that is Prince Vijay and his crew. And then that is why mostly our food looks similar, like especially from Kerala and South India. It looks very, very similar. Our vegetarian cuisine, the plant-based diet looks very, very similar to Indian cuisine, but it tastes completely different because of the spice level. Because Sri Lankan food is extremely, extremely spicy. So it's part of our culture and part of our identity to have very, very spicy food. So that is the first settlers. Now, the second part is where we were colonized way after everything, after Buddhism and everything was predominant in Sri Lanka. Yeah, I think I can't remember the dates exactly, but then the Portuguese came in, and then the British came in, and they dominated. They came into Sri Lanka, and this is where the food culture of bread and pastry and so many other things of that history comes into Sri Lanka because of this uh, this colonization of Dutch community and the British community. First, it was the Dutch, the Portuguese community. Actually, the Portuguese came into the Dutch Portuguese community, and they're the ones who bought in the pastry. Now, when you come to Sri Lanka in modern day society, there's a food parcel that is made with ghee rice and a Malaysian sambal and a fricadelle from Portuguese, like a Dutch fricadelle. There's a rice packet with a banana leaf, which is very, very famous, and everybody thinks that that is the only thing that the Dutch Portuguese has left behind, but actually the pastry life that the modern culture has uh, adopted in Sri Lanka is mainly from the Dutch community. Then the British came in and introduced us to the bread and the cakes. Now, if you come to Sri Lanka, and in Sri Lanka, you will see predominantly a lot of people eating bread and pastries for breakfast and for dinner. You will see little tuck shops and bakeries like in every nook and corner. It is part of our culture. Although people don't like to admit it, it is because we eat bread for breakfast, we eat bread for dinner, we eat bread anytime, like any time of the day. We make sandwiches or we just take the curry or and we take bread and we just dip the bread like how people dip roti. We dip the bread in curry and we eat it because bread is a very, very big part in our Sri Lankan food culture. It has a lot of history behind it. The bread is used in political terms as well. So I'm not going to get into that, but bread plays a big role in Sri Lankan food culture. Then comes the rice. We are rice culture. We are paddy culture. It's not only the economic um, way of living. It's also the way of life in many areas in Sri Lanka. We are predominantly a rice culture. We eat rice. The what I said before, the bread culture, yes, it's there, but then rice is our main source. When you think of Sri Lanka, you have to think of rice and curry. The modern way of living is having bread for breakfast, but if you go into rural, deep villages in Sri Lanka, they still have rice and curry. Like, they'll have rice for breakfast with one curry, or of the pol sambal, the famous pol sambal, which is a coconut relish with a lot of flavor going on in that. It's a beautiful, beautiful dish. Even if you ever visit Sri Lanka, you have to have the pol sambal. It's a coconut relish where you use onions, chilies, and moldy fish. And again, it's very influenced with all the cultures. Sri Lanka is mainly surrounded with this pole sambal. We are very, very proud of it. And yeah, so people will always eat rice and pole sambal for breakfast and lunch and dinner, whatever time. Pole sambal is always there along with rice. So I would say predominantly Sri Lanka is a rice culture. So let me get into a generalization of Sri Lankan food. Sri Lankan cuisine, as per se, is a very, very heavily uh, uh, heavily influenced by each other, like each culture. Now, Sri Lanka has four major religious cultures. Now, I'm not going to get into the technicality of the religions, because there's four major religions, that is Buddhism, Hinduism, Muslims, Islam, and the Roman Catholics and Christians. But under that category, there are so many subcategories of there is like the Buddhist community. They have their own community. Like they have like the vegetarians and the non-vegetarians. Then you get like from the Tamil community who are vegetarians and the non-vegetarians, mainly because they are, although they are Tamils and Hindus, Tamils they follow Christianity. So then they are meat eaters. Then they are like the other part community is vegetarian. So, but but we are like we live off each other when it comes to food. All our food is like a mixed variation of all these religious cultures, and it's just a beautiful marriage of all these different cultures, like we don't have like a distinct food that is coming from one particular religious culture or a religious background or culture. It's like a mix mashup of everything. So we have like the Arab descent from long time ago. I think in 7th century there were Arab descents who came to Sri Lanka, and then they got married to local women, maybe Sinhalese or Tamils, and then the food is a mix of that. For example, if we go to the south of Sri Lanka and you have the Muslim food, it's a mix of the Arab culture but with Sri Lankan flavors. So we have like this the flavors of a huge platter which is served all over Sri Lanka. It's called the sahen, but it's mainly like an Arab culture that you put like rice and a lot of other curries and then all the other meat items on it and everything. It's just like the mandi in Middle East countries, but the flavor is pure Sri Lankan. And then when you go to the East Coast, it's a mix of Muslim and Tamil food. So it's like a Hindu, like the South Indian flavors, but with a lot of Sri Lankan spices and Sri Lankan spice levels. So just like that, each area we have the same curries, not like India where you get like different variations in each district. In Sri Lanka, because we are a small island, the pearl of the Indian Ocean, we have similar curries. Similar curries wherever you go. It's just the cooking method and the technique and the flavors that they put in is completely different. And everybody cooks the same dish in very, very different ways. So it's really, really exciting to taste all these dishes wherever you go in when you travel around Sri Lanka. So when you go to the northern side, you get the Sri Lankan Tamil food, which is really, really untapped and gone under the radar, in my opinion. There's so many dishes that is not even from India now. A lot of people think that the Jaffna Tamil food is direct derivative from India, but no, there's so many recipes that is authentic to Sri Lanka. Uh, and there is so many recipes from the East Coast that is untapped and unheard of, even for Sri Lankans and even for people like me who travel Sri Lanka, travel around Sri Lanka for food, come across so many dishes that is unheard of, and it's absolutely delicious. So if you're traveling to Sri Lanka, make sure to go deep inside, like have an open mind and make sure that you ask whoever you're going with or the locals to take you into the local places. Because when especially when foreigners travel to Sri Lanka, they are given the same thing. Like I see so many people who says, "Oh my God!" Like they will communicate with me and say, "Oh wow, we came to Sri Lanka so many times, and we have never tried this what you have shown on your page, or we have never tried that dish. We have never seen that dish." It's because mostly Sri Lankans believe that this is what foreigners want, this is what everybody likes to have, and they give the same thing, like they give the English breakfast, which is toast, jam, and eggs at hotels. But go for the local breakfast. Go out and see the local food and go deep, have an open mind, and try to find these little gems where you can really, really try out this beautiful, absolutely beautiful and delicious Sri Lankan food, which is really, really unheard of. And even in the world, I think Sri Lankan food should find its place because we do deserve to be up there. You know what I mean? Be up there with all of you. With the Indian food, because Indian food is world famous, so is Thai food, and everybody loves. Yeah, so that is our food culture. The other main uh, thing about Sri Lankans is you will find that Sri Lankans love to host. I think this is something that Asians share in common because we all love to host, we all love to prepare food and give new food. Like, that is the way we show love, that is the way we show abundance, that is the way we communicate. Even if you don't speak the language, I think Asians in general love to share their meals because this is how we communicate. So even Sri Lankans are like that. So that is a big part of Sri Lankan culture as well. In any family, you would find that mealtime is the most sacred. Uh, Everybody waits for the mealtime with the family. Cooking and eating together is the main thing that Sri Lankans do. Even if they are going out, it's something that we do. There's not much of entertainment in Sri Lanka as such. We don't have big fancy. What do you call entertainment places, eating places. So we love to eat. We really, really do. We don't have entertainment malls like really large malls, or really we do have one or two, but it's mainly an eating culture. We have a lot of restaurants, a lot of eating places. Um, we mainly surround our lifestyle around food, so food plays a big, big role in Sri Lankan food culture. There was one more thing that I wanted to say. Yes, along with rice, we also have our tea and our coffee. Now, the coffee was introduced long time ago in 7th century during when the Arabs came as merchants for spice trade. The thing is, back then Sri Lankans were unaware of coffee bean or what to do with it. They used to use the coffee leaves. Even today, we use coffee leaves to put flavor to enhance the flavor in our curries. But I think it's only after the British came in and invaded us that coffee was really replanted back again, and there was a big, big demand for Sri Lankan coffee because of the soil and the bean and the flavor that comes from Sri Lanka. So is our tea. So there's again, it was introduced by James Taylor during the British colonization, and we have four main types of tea, and our Ceylon tea is just really, really good. Now I know there's a lot of tea that is famous around the world, even from India, but Ceylon tea is considered as one of the best as well. So do try out our tea. There's various kind of teas, but the best way to have Ceylon tea is on its own with a piece of jaggery, also known as palm sugar, or just plain tea with a little ginger in it. and you are good to go. Yeah, so basically that is uh, all I can say about our Sri Lankan food culture. Okay, there's one question: Sri Lankan food habits or food culture to Goan food, yes, yes, and no. Okay, so Goa and Sri Lanka has a lot of similarities in terms of fish curry, the coconut fish curry, and we are, like I said, Sri Lankans are mainly omnivores, but we have a lot of we we also we also have a lot of pescatarians as well. Uh, and also, I think the Goan food connection comes with the Dutch Portuguese because I think in Goa there's a lot of Dutch Portuguese influence. Am I right, Sweta? Are you there, Sweta? So I think the Dutch Portuguese has a heavy influence in Goa, and it's the same thing in Sri Lanka as well. So that is the main uh, connection there. So there is a lot of food which actually in Goa, I have a lot of friends in Goa. I think they remind me of a lot of the Dutch worker community in Sri Lanka, their lifestyle, the way they speak, the way they are, the way they communicate, the fun and feel the lifestyle, the way they eat, everything. So yeah, so that is yeah. So Anubhav says yes, it's correct. So there's a Dutch community and there's an okay. Sweta again is asking, would like to know if there's any particular veggies that are only found in Sri Lanka. Any vegetarian delicacies only found in Sri Lanka. I wouldn't say only found in Sri Lanka because we have a lot of similarities with India, but I think the jackfruit and the yeah, the jackfruit I think is one of the main vegetables or fruit. Jackfruit, we use the young jack, tender jack as a vegetable. We cook that. We cook that with so many things. We cook that with coconut. We cook that. We fry that. We have it with. We dry it in the sun and put sugar in it. It's a very ancient fruit plus vegetable for Sri Lanka. If you we call it kos, KOS. It's very common in Sri Lanka, and it's something that nourishes a lot of people. Even during this pandemic, a lot of people were giving away kos and giving away um, this jackfruit for free because it really nourishes the people because you can have it as a vegetable or a fruit or anything that you like. I think I have clarified everything about Sri Lanka and that how much our food resembles Kerala food than any other district in India. But as Shweta said, yes, we do have the connection between Goa and Sri Lanka because Goa has the Dutch um, Portuguese connection. Okay, so when is the best time to visit Sri Lanka? Okay, so the best time to visit Sri Lanka is during winter time, I would say, and also that is during December, January, February is a very good time because the weather is more cooler. Because we are a tropical country, it will rain anytime you come. We cannot say when it's going to rain or when it's not going to rain. I know a lot of people say, come at this time it rains less. It's not like that because to experience food culture, yeah, you want to experience food culture, you have to come during December, January, February, March, April, because that period of 6 months is where it is really. You can even experience the Sinhalese and Hindu uh, festival, our New Year, Sri Lankan New Year, although it's celebrated by Sinhalese and the Hindu community, the Muslims, the Catholics, we all celebrate that. And at that time, you can find very rare and unique food experiences in Sri Lanka because that is the time they cook a lot of different variations of food and sweets and everything. So April is top notch to come to Sri Lanka if you're ever visiting Sri Lanka. December is very crowded, but a lot of places are open and it's quite happening and it's really nice. So from December to November, December till about March, I would say would be the best period for you. And your favorite food destination in Sri Lanka. Okay, so favorite food destination in Sri Lanka. Uh, I cannot say because, like I said, each uh, district in Sri Lanka has a distinct flavor, a very distinct flavor. Just like India, I would say, very, very different and really, really delicious and quite different. Each curry, we have similar curries but cooked very differently to each district. So, but I would say personally, uh, I can't select, but I think northern and southern food is up there. But uh, I'm still exploring the East Coast because I just found like a few on my last tours. The East Coast food was phenomenal, so I'm still exploring the East Coast as well. But for now, it's northern and southern food, so it's north and south, equal ground. So thank you so much for Delhi Food Walk for hosting me, Ruzaina, the minority taste. And thank you for everyone who joined and for everyone who will be watching later on. And that's it from me. Bye bye from Ruzaina, the minority taste. Bye.